Welcome to this podcast. My name is John Walcott, Project Coordinator at the United Nations Development Programme, Barbados and the OECS Multi-Country Office. Today we are looking at gender and how it relates to early warning systems, and we will delve into the efforts completed with some communities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one of the most hazard-prone countries in the Eastern Caribbean. Among the constant threats are volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, storms, earthquakes, floods, droughts, fires, and landslides, all of which can be exacerbated by climate change. Some groups in a society are more vulnerable than others to these hazards, including children, women, elderly, and persons with disabilities. In many cases, due to their role in the family as caretakers, women become naturally first responders in cases of a disaster in their communities. Recent events, including floods, reveal the need to inform, and train both women and men from these communities in disaster risk reduction, preparedness, and resilience. As a response to such need, strengthening integrated early warning systems for a more effective reduction of disaster risk in the Caribbean through knowledge and tool transfer is a disaster risk reduction project of the DEPECO Action Plan for the Caribbean, implemented by the United Nations Development Programme, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, and the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, and funded by the General Directorate of Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid of the European Union. This project took place in Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Cuba over an 18-month period, sought to strengthen disaster preparedness and risk reduction through integrated early warning systems, or EWS. Working in this important element for disaster risk reduction, it enhanced the prevention, mitigation, and response capacities at both the institutional and community level, based on mutual learning and collaboration between countries and regional institutions working in disaster risk reduction across the Caribbean. As part of the South-South Cooperation Strategy, specialists from the National Institute of Hydraulic Resources of the Republic of Cuba carried out a technical mission to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with the objective to train volunteer rain and river runoff observers in the installation, operation, and maintenance of measuring stations, and to train local leaders in the management of volunteer observers and the evaluation of hydrological information for flood early warning. Therefore, we met with volunteer observers are essential for data collection and effectiveness of flood prediction. They will contribute to the capture of the primary data for the hydrological monitoring of the EWS, making it operational. Particularly in the communities visited, many women are important agents of change whose active involvement in disaster risk preparedness is crucial for the security and well-being of their communities. Therefore, it is essential to recognize and value the gender-differentiated knowledge and contributions of these women and men volunteer observers and provide the appropriate support, access to information, capacity building, and resources based on their gender-differentiated needs and priorities. The community's empowerment involves understanding not only these gender-differentiated contributions, but also the existing inequalities in the development processes of each country, including gender inequalities. Disasters tend to exacerbate existing gender inequalities, while gender inequalities also exacerbate the negative impacts of disasters, which could lead to greater negative impacts on women as they are placed in a more vulnerable position. That is why the strengthening of the EWS at the community level should be focused on understanding the gender-differentiated needs and priorities of people, ensuring adequate inclusiveness. Gender equality is promoted through actions that provide equal rights, voice, responsibilities, and opportunities for men and women in each of the preparedness, response, and recovery processes. This is key for nations and communities to be resilient in the face of disasters and the impact of climate change. Why did you decide to become a volunteer observer?
Over the years, floods and other stuff, disasters have been taking place within the community, but you had to have anybody to check on it before. We'd never had the resources and training, but through the UNDP project, we were given some skills in terms of disaster preparedness. We were given some tools also so that we can better assist residents within the community.
I believe in giving back to my community, and being a volunteer, you're exposed to many opportunities.
I'm currently employed at the health department, health disaster, and in the past 2 weeks, I've done 2 courses, initial damage assessment and mass casualty management. In these courses, they spoke about the dangers of different disasters, well, natural hazards, and when it affects an area, it becomes a disaster, and how they may affect communities economically, socially, and physically. This course basically teaches how to prevent or mitigate problems.
What challenges do you think this role might have for you in your community, but also for you as a female?
Being a volunteer observer, it gives me better force and knowledge of what is going on. And because of the difference in our weather pattern, we have to always stay on the alert for impending danger. So being an observer, it gives me a plus.
Most of the persons who volunteer their time are women. We have a CDRT group and only 2 males were in it. At present, both of them are ill. So we have a group of women because the men are either at work or elsewhere. They are not willing to volunteer their time. If we need something to be moved or someone to be relocated or moved from an area because of disaster, a pending disaster, they will come. Other than that, you don't have the men participating, it's just the women.
Being a woman and being a volunteer, it's take away a lot because sometimes you have to give up. Like, you get opportunities for you to do and you have to give them up in going different areas to be a volunteer, and sometimes it depends on your pocket cost.
What assistance would you like to help you to do your job better as a volunteer observer in the community?
Well, I believe they have started. You all have started in that training. Training is very, very important, and not a one-off training, but continuous training in the different aspects. What we would have done today in terms of the early warning system, how to monitor the river, how to read the different instruments, that is very good. What we need to do also is to see if we can get some of the youths to be a part of the whole monitoring system, because you hardly find them involved in, volunteering their time. And I think it's very important because sometimes they'll come and they want information for their SBAs, but that's the only time they ever come. After you have given them the information, they're gone, they never come back. But we need to have them within the community, where they're from, walking along, volunteering sometime, because I believe one of these days they may need to get a job somewhere. And the question is, could be, did you volunteer to do anything? Are you a part of any group, community-based group or anything like that? And I believe the fact that you would have participated in a group like this, early warning system or disaster preparedness, it can help them.
More training, of course, awareness. You can never stop letting people know about these things. So, training.
Getting more meeting and teaching the community to be more aware if there's an impact of a disaster, because most people don't take those things in consideration when there is a disaster. So you need to teach, give people the knowledge and understanding when a disaster is about to approach.
Our capacity would have changed in you did not know this information was available, but the training now would have now opened up your eyes to see that. You do not have to sit down and say, oh, I don't have anything to do during the day, but you can attend training workshop which will give you information that will not only help to protect you and to save your life, but maybe your family members and community members.
Well, from what I've seen, females seem to be more dedicated when it comes to stuff like this. And in small communities such as Georgetown, South Rivers, there are a lot of stay-at-home moms. So females may be ideal to carry out these roles.